They're the liberal rednecks. They like cornbread and butt sex. They care way too much but don't give a fuck. They're the liberal rednecks that makes some people upset, but they got 3 big old dicks that you can suck.
Well, here we are.
What's up, boy?
Not much. It's me and Cho. Drewless edition of WellRED once again. He's running naked somewhere. I can't remember where, and I also can't find the text that he sent. But I know he's absconded to parts unknown as he is wont to do.
Can you smell stuff from memory?
What do you mean?
Like
They say that scent is the strongest sense tied
Yes.
to memory.
But can you think about something that stank and you feel like you can remember that stank and it goes in you somehow?
I mean, I think I can call to mind the way that things like smell sort of, I could conceptualize it. But if you're asking if like I actually smell that smell or that
Yeah.
stank when I think about it,
Yeah.
no, I don't. Which is, I never really thought about that, but it is weird. It's like, because when you think about like a song that isn't playing right now, but you know how it goes, you can kind of like play it in your head.
Right. You hear the song.
You can like hear it in your head, or you can hear a speech in your head or whatever. You can like picture a beach that you've been to, and you can kind of see that in your head.
You can almost picture a taste.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird because yes, you think about it, it's like none of them are really fundamentally any different from
Right.
the others.
They're all-
but it's
they're just
weird.
senses.
It's weird to think about like imagining a stank in your mind, but I do feel like I can do it, and you don't. Just like you don't actually hear the song playing, you just hear it in your head.
And
I
you
don't actually
you hear
smell
a
the
memory.
stank.
It's a memory of the song or whatever. I saw this dude talking the other day about how we don't really remember things. We just remember remembering them, like at some point.
Oh God, here we go. Yeah, what does that mean?
Well, he was just talking about like, number one, how like, they did multiple studies about, police lineups and like a witness's like true memory of a thing. Like they would like they would film like an event happening without telling people what happened. And like everybody had to describe what happened. And it was wild how different the same thing happened to everybody and everybody saw it. But the way they were describing it was markedly different. But like they could tell that none of them were lying. Like no one was lying. Right. So basically, there's so many things that we have memories of, but we don't really like we remembering it. And so that's obviously, why, sometimes there will be someone who's been mad at you for 5 years and you didn't know. Right. Because you experienced a thing and the way they experienced it was negative, but to you it wasn't. And so like, there's no convincing you that you were the bad guy in that scenario. And maybe you weren't, but to them, you're the biggest asshole that's ever lived. But in your perception, it's like, no, that's not what happened. And so basically he's like, when you experience something the first time, obviously the very first time you recall it will be the strongest. Like usually you'll tell somebody right afterwards. He's like, but every single time after that, it's like you're playing a game of telephone with yourself. And when you remember something, you're not really remembering the thing. You're remembering every other time you've tried to remember it. And I think that's too is why like stories get, like stories will enhance over the years. And it's sometimes people are lying. Like we talked about yesterday. I won't say who it is, but like some famous podcasters are like, they just be making shit up. Like that does exist. But like a lot of times when you think your buddy is a liar, he's not intentionally lying. He's just remembering it. He's remembering a fragment of the thing. And so his entire scope of that thing is pieced together from 50 other times he remembered it instead of the actual thing, which is crazy.
Yeah, brains is wild as hell. Every aspect of them. It's wild that I don't know. I guess it's not wild. It kind of makes sense. But like we got all these great technological advances and scientific advances and stuff, but we still don't really, really be understanding most brain things, I reckon. Right. Like to this day, scientists don't actually understand why you have to sleep. If you don't sleep, it'll kill you, but they don't really know why. And it's like, I know it's like, well, you got to rest, you got to recharge your batteries.
Right.
It's like, yeah, but biologically, like, what does that mean? You know,
Right.
and it's like, yeah, how memory works, all that shit is just super fascinating.
Pete Holmes has a great bit about that where he's talking about explaining sleep to an alien that doesn't. And he's like, they're like, what's sleep? He's like, just for 8 to sometimes 12 hours, I just got to shut it down,
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, well, he's explaining to them where energy comes from. And he's like, well, it's food. You eat food and you have energy. And he goes, but at about 10 o'clock at night, no matter how much energy I've consumed, sometimes because of the amount of energy I've consumed, I just got a fucking bloop. Dude, they still haven't. I mean, maybe they have it, but like they still kind of don't know what hiccups be, do they?
No,
Or yawning.
Yeah, I think you're right about both those things. Yeah, they don't really know what that's about, and it's like, and yawning, the fact that yawning is
It's contagious.
which is
Right.
fucking weird. It's like, what kind of sense does that make? Just like, because it's like vomiting.
And dogs will do it too.
Right. And dogs and humans can do it across species.
Right.
Whatever, you know what I mean? A dog can make a human.
Well, that's
yawn,
what I
vice
meant.
versa.
If I yawn, my dog would yawn.
Yeah.
Or vice versa.
But it's like, it's also a thing. It's like, oh, don't throw up. If you throw up, I'm gonna start throwing up. But it's like, that's like a visceral, physical response to a gross thing. You
Right.
You smell puke, you see puke, and it makes you sick at your stomach, and you throw up.
Yeah.
But
and
like,
if you were both tired, it'd be one
yawn.
thing. But sometimes you're not. The other person isn't tired.
Like, oh, don't you start yawning? I'll start yawning. But like, what the fuck is that about?
I remember at one point I'd heard a thing where they were like, well, it's a sympathy yawn. Like it's just this, it's this subconscious thing to where like you always want people to be comfortable and feel welcomed or whatever. So if they yawn, you'll subconsciously yawn just to let them know like, it's okay. Me too. It is boring, but I don't give a fuck about people. I mean, I love people, but like, I don't need you to feel good about your yawn. I don't care if you yawn, but I don't know.
See, like, listen, and this is Google's AI overview, so God only knows.
So terrible.
This is the like list of theories that it gives. First of all, it says the exact mechanism is not fully understood, but several theories have been proposed over the years, and here they are. 1, mirror neuron theory. This theory suggests that mirror neurons in your brain, which fire when we observe someone else performing an action, may play a role in contagious yawning. So when we see someone yawn, our mirror neurons activate, simulating the yawn in our own bodies. So, but what else do mirror neurons do? You know what I mean? You see, it's like,
if I see somebody jacking off, I got to immediately start.
Yeah. I mean, right. It kind of, you see it. I'm trying to think what that would be for.
I was trying to hit, but that really is true.
It know it really. No, I know.
Really
I know you
true.
were. I know you were trying to, but I mean, that is. I feel like that is.
You just get horny out of nowhere.
If you see somebody doing some horny shit, you
get horny.
Get horny automatically.
I gotta go to the bathroom.
I feel like maybe evolutionarily, that's like if you see somebody looking freaked out or something's off or something, and it's like that same shit activates in your brain. But what's the difference between that and just like being scared because you see a scared person?
Or what's the difference in that of just like if I see somebody on TV and they're buddies and they're drinking a beer, it'll make me want to drink a beer. But it's just like I see something that hits for me and I go, oh, right, I could do that. So like it might be that, like I see something happening nakedly and I'm like, right, beating off. That would hit, So maybe,
right.
but like, but this goes back to those like crazy triggers of like, which I know this is just like alcoholism, but like the things that don't trigger you versus the things that do are like different for everybody. Cause like, I don't know, if I see a drunk person, that doesn't always make me want to drink, even though I love alcohol. Sometimes it'll make me be like, I'm never drinking again. Look at this asshole. But one pluck of a steel guitar and I have the shakes like a fucking roofer. You know what I mean? Like the weird, it's like some primal siren call. Like and it's not just, I found this out too. We've always said it was like country music and stuff. I found that it's not just country music. It's any act of redness. Any act of redness makes me go, hell yeah, let's have a beer. Like if I see two dudes, like if I see like if one dude runs from one pontoon boat, does a gainer, and lands on another pontoon boat, even if they're not drinking, I'll be like, I need a fucking beer. That's a beer moment. Celebrate. Something badass just happened. Let's do it.
It's definitely, any moment of redness, but even then, that's kind of a chicken and egg thing, maybe,
Right.
where it's like,
We
because like
associate
I
it.
know that, again, we've talked before about my version of golf growing up was red, but for most people, golf is definitely not a redness pursuit. And I've said before that was always a trigger of mine. I mean, I
It's
haven't really
getting back
played
there.
golf, haven't really played golf in years, but it was always one of mine. Like, again, being on a lake, that's a POA Venn diagram thing potentially. It's definitely an act of redness, but rich people with kick-ass boats and shit do it too. But being on a lake, like playing cards, which is both red
Gambling.
and black, right?
Yeah, that's true. Black people don't drink as much as we do, though.
Country, I know. So that's what I'm saying. But it's like, so I'm trying to parse all that. But yeah, and then again, for me, golf, which most neutral observers would not call an act of redness, but it was definitely a trigger for me for sure.
It's also,
but anything that is red, cornhole in a yard or whatever is like going to be a trigger for that without a doubt.
Speaking of golf, and look, we don't have a lot of crossover fans, but I just wanted to say rest in peace to Cody Beef Frankie. I know you didn't know him, but he was an internet golf dude who he just joined Barstool like, I don't know, 8 or 9 months ago. But before that, he was an account that I followed because he was just the head pro at this place in Wisconsin, I think. And he would just give like 30-second tips every day. And he's a big old guy. I think that's a lot of the reason that he got some of the like a lot of the clicks were people being assholes, but the dude was a stick. Dude could really play golf. I mean, he was a PGA professional of the PGA of America, just joined Barstool. They just did their internet classic and he passed away over the weekend. So rest in peace to him. But the reason I bring that up is to say that like, I don't know if you've noticed, because you are the least online person that I know. And that's a huge compliment. I'm starting to get that way. But you said like nobody associates golf with redneck anymore. That's true that they don't and still don't. But like, dude, golf's been having a pretty big moment, I'd say, for the past 6-7 years, but even more so recently. It's actually, I don't know if the PGA gods or everybody in golf finally realized what the people putting on Happy Gilmore's tour did in the 90s of like, hey, this sells tickets. But like, it's becoming a lot more mainstream with just regular old dudes. And there's been this like this hashtag that's been going around called like grow the game, which is like, hey, it's been so stuffy for a long time, but we need more people doing this. And if you want more people to do it, then the cost has to come down, the stuffiness has to come down, people need to be having fun. So my point is, there's more people now probably enjoying golf the way you're used to enjoying it than you've ever seen. So might be time for you to get back.
Yeah. I mean, it would hit for me. There's just not any, I've tried to look into like options near me where I'm at, and there's nothing that's super convenient at all. There's obviously out here in LA,
Expensive as fuck too.
Right. Yeah.
Which is not
like
fun.
big, legit, fancy, super
Yeah.
expensive places, which is the opposite of what I want. And if
I
you
don't
want
want
to
that either.
find something not that, I have to drive so far,
Yeah,
like
that's not worth it.
It just don't hit. For what it's worth, whenever I'm on the road if I'm on the road and I like for a whole weekend and not just one night, if I'm on the road for a whole weekend and I like on the way to my hotel or driving to a restaurant back or something like that, like if I see a Top Golf, like I'm going to go to it.
I think those have helped too.
I was going to say that. I'm sure they probably have. I mean, they've only even came into being in the past, 10, 15 years, and now they're pretty ubiquitous.
It sort of made golf a little like bowling in the sense of like, but
right.
to go to a golf course and play, you feel like I don't want to be terrible. But to go to Top Golf, who gives a shit? Because like if you have a bad swing, I'll just sit this one out and have my nachos, and like we're all just here. And if you don't want to do it, you can just sit there and like, get the girls will come out there. That's a time it's acceptable for a man to golf with their wife. I would love it if Amber came out with me, but she just don't. But I'm just saying it's a fun family thing.
So here are the other proposed theories for the yawning thing, because we only went through one. One you kind of covered, empathy hypothesis. Yawning may be a way of expressing empathy or understanding the emotional state of a person who is yawning. When we see someone yawn, we may infer they are tired or bored, and we may yawn ourselves as a response. But I mean, like, what even is that really? And also, to me, it's like, I definitely could see. I mean, I'm not saying I have, but I promise you, I could see like Nick Fuentes yawn, and it would still make me yawn. Do you understand what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah. So it has
Like,
nothing to do with that,
with
right?
empathy. Like, I could see someone that I can't stand yawn, and it would still engender that,
Yeah.
mirrored response in me. Another one, again, don't really get exactly how this is that much different. Social bonding hypothesis. Contagious yawning may serve as a way of strengthening social bonds. By mimicking the behavior of others, we demonstrate we're paying attention and empathizing with them.
Why do we only do it with yawns? Like, why don't we mimic other good behaviors of people? I
Right.
don't see a dude fucking working out and just start, going like, I just go, oh, get away from it. You know what I mean? Like, why is it just yawns?
Right. Physiological hypothesis. Some studies suggest that yawning is a physiological response to changes in your alertness or arousal. Yeah, no shit. See, this is the problem with the Google AI thing.
Right.
Uh,
Those are just different words for tired.
Exactly. But then it says seeing someone else yawn may trigger a similar response in our own bodies, even if we are not actually tired. But we know that that's just restating the thing that happens. It's not
Right.
offering a, proposed explanation for it. And then finally, evolutionary hypothesis. One evolutionary theory proposes that contagious yawning may have helped our ancestors stay alert and avoid danger. If one person in a group yawned, it could signal to others that they needed to be vigilant.
What do you mean?
I don't know. I don't get it either. I don't really get any
Nobody's
of those,
ever on
frankly.
purpose yawned. That don't mean what the fuck ever. I mean,
I
Google
guess
AI certainly
maybe
knows.
the idea is that, like, if as a caveman, if you're yawning, you are for some reason making the choice not to sleep.
Right.
And
Push
there's
through.
probably a reason
Yeah.
for that, because like
Yeah.
with cavemen, what
you gonna do?
however you get tired, just lay your head down on the nearest rock and sleep until you wake up and keep walking until there's more berries or whatever. Like,
Bro.
so if a caveman is like yawning repeatedly, that means they're making the choice to not give in to the desire to sleep, presumably for some reason. But you would think any other cave people that are with them at the time would be in the exact same scenario, so wouldn't need to be reminded of that by virtue of a yawn from Og, the group leader or whatever.
I know they didn't have nothing to compare it to, but using a rock as a pillar would suck. That would not. I think about this all the time. We can stay here as long as you want, but this sort of stems from something I mentioned earlier about I had sent the thread something about like The Walking Dead like is still on, or Daryl Dixon is still on, and I was just like, man, I guess more power to him, but like I feel like after 17 years, I'd finally just be like, take me. Like this ain't, because to me it's like a lot of people are like, oh, as human beings, we are just evolutionary designed to survive, and I just don't think I am, because to me, I like being alive because it's comfortable and hits. If it stopped being that way, I wouldn't just want to keep doing it for some God reason of like, we must procreate. I don't think none of that stuff. So either I would just be dead, or I'm misinformed on how my evolutionary response would be to this sort of trauma. But I feel like, and it's like, well, yeah, maybe there were cavemen that felt that way, but they didn't make it. I just don't feel like I'd have made it as a caveman.
Caveman, I don't know, because like you said, things were so different. We were almost different species.
We were
at the time, so who the hell knows? But with the zombie thing, I mean, that's what I was going to say, or any kind of apocalypse. In my head, in a real life scenario, you said 17 years in, anything past 18 months or probably less, the only people you're going to have left probably are the people that are, in
Bear Grylls.
One fashion, exactly. One way or another is sort of built for that type of thing. And all the people who feel the way you do about it, and me too, will have long since already perished, probably. But then I think about like some of my buddies who I know they think that they would be like Yeah,
They
most people do. Most dudes,
I
especially,
don't.
think that. No, me neither. I've
Yeah,
always
but
said
of
that.
all my
Like, no,
buddies,
I'm dying in the first
and
wave,
on
bro.
purpose,
There
I
ain't no
don't
way.
like. I don't mean like I'm just so weak I won't make it. I mean I wouldn't even try to make it. That seems stupid. But most of my
Well,
buddies,
you have to think though,
yeah,
in a
it
real
might
life
get better. It might
scenario.
get better. Yeah,
Exactly. In a real
yeah.
life scenario, when things first pop
I
off,
would try.
you're not gonna know how
Yeah,
bad is
that's true.
this, how widespread is this. Like in your
Yeah,
head, you're like,
we don't know how many seasons.
I could maybe escape this. This might only last a week, hold out a week, and it'll get fixed. Like you don't know that it's
Yeah,
the end of the whole world and that it isn't gonna, get better,
that's true.
So
But speaking of my friends, all of my dude bro buddies who were like, I'd be the leader of this clan, but I'm like, bro, you gave up on masks after 2 months. You know
mhm.
what I mean? Like, I don't think your will to survive is as much as you think. So, like, if a zombie apocalypse happened, you're willing to go cut down a bunch of trees, build a fort, learn to gather for the first time in your life, skin, like not just eat meat, but prepare it yourself from fucking soup to nuts, right? You could do all that seems like something you've got in your back pocket. But oh, it's so uncomfortable on my face. Like what do you mean? You know what I mean? Like that's crazy to me.
Yeah, it's just like the majority, a huge percentage of dudes think that they could take a bear in a fight or whatever, one on one, like that
So,
type of thing. It's just, it's
dude,
the exact same phenomenon at play. Guys, bros just think they got it like that,
what do you
or if they were in a emergency or terrorist or mass shooter situation or whatever, like it wouldn't have happened if they were there because they would have stopped it.
Mark
Like that,
Wahlberg,
Mark Wahlberg famously, but not just him a lot. I mean,
Jericho.
I used to work with a gun nut guy at my office job who like was 100% like that. Anytime there was
That's
a mass
so
shooter, he would just
disrespectful.
openly say, he would be like, I wish I'd have been there. Never would have went down like that if I was
That's
there.
so
Like,
insanely disrespectful because that's also assuming like we live in such a crazy gun nut alpha male culture. That's so really you don't think there was one other person on that plane that was like you? Yes, there was. Statistically, of course there was. There was a fucking Marshall on that plane who's way more badass than you, and it doesn't work out like that. Like you remember Jericho, what Chris Jericho said?
No, I don't know what he said about it. What did he say? Or maybe I do
He
once you tell
said-
me, but I don't.
I'm probably going to butcher it a little bit, but it was not long after 9. I mean, it was on Twitter, so it couldn't have been right after 9/11, but it was probably around the anniversary. And he said something to the effect of, "Can you imagine if one of the planes they hijacked on 9/11 was one of the WWE planes? A whole plane filled with WWE superstars. Yeah, good night, jihad. Like we would like now. Don't get me wrong." I do think a bunch of roided up maniacs, exclusively roided up maniacs, would definitely have a better chance than a plane full of families and stuff. But like, they still would stab you.
I think I was going to say best case, but honestly, probably most likely scenario. I think he might be right in that it wouldn't have hit a tower, but best case scenario, it's a United 93 situation.
For sure.
Which means they fuck enough shit up there that it just crashes in a field or whatever.
Killed the pilots.
Right. Everybody on board dies anyway, but
right.
maybe you don't take out thousands of it. It is better for sure.
It is better.
But yeah, I mean, there's no guarantee they would do that. But I do. I mean, I buy that more than Mark Wahlberg's thing. Like a whole plane of roided, coked out fucking monsters. Like they're not gonna. They are going to do something. It will be stupid, probably, and reckless, but that still will do. That will disrupt shit enough that, again, they probably just all die together in a fiery crash instead of, tower number 2. But
yeah, that's true. I didn't even think about it like that. Like in my brain, it was like an all or nothing situation. But you're right. It probably wouldn't have hit the tower. It would have just, taken out the Mets stadium, which would have been fine, I guess. Dude, speaking of 9/11, did you see where Clayface is coming out on the 25th anniversary of 9/11?
I did not, but
the best 9/11 so far, brother.
So far, yes.
I'm pretty stoked.
That just a total, obviously coincidence, right? Yeah.
I guess it's just like that's the day movie.
It'd be funny to purposefully choose that.
I was thinking about that, and it's like, I understand we can't just not do stuff on 9/11 forever, but it is the 25th anniversary. So I
Right.
feel like that's going to be, so like, to me, it's like you could have made it come out the week before or the week after. Now I know that it's like, it's easy to say, but like this movie was slated for this movie
Right.
was slated for this, but it's like maybe the 12th, like,
Well, I don't know, obviously, but like you just said, this movie's already slated for then. This one's already slated for after. Like, it could have been one of those deals where it's like, because it's 25th anniversary, nobody really wants
That
September
spot.
11th
So they give it
next
to
year. They don't
Clayface.
really want that weekend as a
Right.
release date because of it being the 25th anniversary. We are going to be punching above our weight class at going against any other like major release. But since nobody wants that one, it might be our best bet to sort of throw a curveball, slide in there, and be the only game in town that
Right.
weekend. And that might make us hit harder.
And it's a big
total from my butt thinking.
No.
But
I mean, I'm with you. And on that note, I think this organically goes into something else that I want to mention. In case I get off on a tangent, which I would never, remind me that what I want to talk about is the Guillermo del Toro's. By the way, I know how to pronounce his name, but my tongue won't let me. Just so everybody knows, I know how it's said. My mouth won't do it. I want to talk about the Frankenstein release. Obviously, we've not seen the movie because it was only in theaters one day. You might have. I don't know. It was in theaters one day and it wasn't near Chattanooga, so I couldn't do it.
No,
but Clayface is also like, what they're doing here is kind of what Morbius and Venom and stuff is, where whereas they did that with the Marvel stuff, it's Spider-Man villains, but without Spider-Man. It's a Spider-Man villains movie without Spider-Man. This is that, but Batman. I don't think is going to be in the movie. So, and I think this is this is the first one that DC's done like that. I think. No, I mean, Joker
very famously was like that.
That one feels for some reason different.
It is different just because Joker is as big as Batman, I think. So like Joker having his own movie is not, it doesn't feel weird the way it feels weird for Morbius to have his own movie or
and
whatever.
Also it was like the Joker movie with the way that they did it. I mean, you obviously have to do it like this, but the way that they did it, like if that hadn't have been the Joker and they just made up a new villain, you could have done that without him having to be Batman at all. Like the story of just a deranged man who whatever. To me, that's more of, it's like it was the Joker, but really that's just a Todd Phillips, Joaquin Phoenix insane fest that we're going to put under the IP of the Joker. Clayface.
Definitely.
But with Clayface, like, I mean, not a lot of people, and that's another thing. Clayface is a very Guardians of the Galaxy level Batman villain. Like, not a lot of people know about him. Now, I do, and I think that his backstory is well enough to be told without having to put Batman there. But I don't know if a lot of people are going to feel that way. And before we go to break, and then we'll talk about Frankenstein, I need to tell people to get pumped up for this because I told you years ago, and you see it in our text. I've sent it to you. I said, if they ever make a Clayface movie, then there's several, as you know, in every comic book hero or villain, there's a multitude of origins because they reboot and whatever. I said, if they do Clayface and they use the storyline from Batman the Animated Series, then this has the potential to be one of my favorite DC Batman related things ever. And that's exactly what they're doing. And the storyline in Clayface in the animated series is this dude is an actor, right? Who he has this face where he's not going to be a leading man. You know what I mean? Like he's a character actor. He's sort of he plays the heavies because I don't know if you remember this, but Batman the Animated Series simultaneously took place in the 90s, the 40s, and the 20s somehow. Like they would just have like a storyline that was like, this is clearly supposed to be the 20s, but it would just be the same Batman. And he was like a Boris Karloff type or whatever who wanted to be a leading man. So he took this serum. It's like plastic surgery or whatever, gave him a leading man's face, but then he took too much of it. He becomes Clayface, but he can shapeshift into anybody, right? So that's going to be fucking rad. Not as rad, however, though, in my opinion, as this week's sponsors, Zippix, okay? If you see me in some of my internet videos and I've got a toothpick hanging out of my mouth, I'm sure you didn't question it because I'm a redneck and we stay having toothpicks. But the reason is because this has nicotine in it. If you're out there and you thought, hey, I love toothpicks, I just wish they were better though. Well, they are now because Zippix brings you a totally satisfying, convenient, and great tasting way to curb your nicotine cravings. Now you can get your nicotine fix anytime, anywhere without having to rely on smoking or vaping. And I'm going to say it. It doesn't say it in here, but I'll say it. this is great for the airplane. Okay. For the airplane, it's not just better for you in sense of like you're not, breathing stuff in or whatever, but like in all those instances, like I got jury duty next week, right? Bro, do you know how insane I would be going in jury duty if I couldn't hit my vapor? I got the toothpick. Everything's okay. They are available in 6 great long-lasting flavors. This is my favorite, and it's cinnamon because it reminds me of my favorite gum, which is Cinnaburst. Don't even know if they make it anymore, but that's what it tastes like. Got 2 milligrams, 3 milligrams of nicotine, so you can go up or down, whatever you want. And by the way, if you're not a nicotine user and you're thinking, that's great, but I don't do none of that. They got B12 infused toothpicks. They got caffeine toothpicks. I have this with my coffee. I'll have a caffeine one, a B12 one, and a nicotine one while I'm drinking my coffee. I'm a wild man, and you can be a wild man too. They've already helped hundreds of thousands of customers get their nicotine fix without needing to inhale smoke or vape oils. So what are you waiting for? Give your lungs a break and try Zipic nicotine-infused toothpaste. Ditch the cigarettes, ditch the vapes, and get some nicotine-infused toothpicks at zipixtoothpicks.com today. Get 10% off your first order by using the code WellRED at checkout. That's ZIPPIX toothpicks.com, promo code WellRED, WELLRED. Must be 21 or older to order. Warning, nicotine is an addictive chemical. Zip more, smoke less with Zippix nicotine toothpicks. Yes, nicotine is an addictive chemical. However, Trey,
It hits.
it does hit. Get you some.
All right, Frankenstein. What was you
right.
going to say about it?
Well, you were just talking about like, what's their thought process on it coming out on 9/11 versus, and I think you did a really good job there. But I think that one's easier to do because it's just one day, whatever. Here's where I want to try us to game this out and understand the decision of Netflix on the Frankenstein thing, because I don't get it, but at the same time, I always go, well, that's why you're not an executive at Netflix. We do the same thing with coaches. Like, why would they call that play there? Well, that's Pete Carroll. But then every now and then, though, you go, right, okay, it's true, but those people are still fallible and can be stupid, right? So,
well, yeah, especially football coaches and studio executives.
Exactly.
For sure.
2 of the dumbest on earth. Neither have ever given me a shot in my life. I was not drafted again this year.
Mm-hmm.
And the Titans have made such poor decisions, but still won't pick me up as a 3rd-string punter, which I've gone out for every year. So they released, I saw that Frankenstein was getting 1 day of a theatrical release, which, look, a lot of times Netflix don't even do that. So I was like, well, whatever,
right.
1 day.
You know why they do that, right?
They do it so people will be like, oh, no, I missed it. Now I have to get it on Netflix.
It's those antiquated rules about that.
Oh, Oscars.
That qualifies them for, I don't know if it's just the Oscars or just various awards. If they have a movie that they think has any shot at actual awards, they'll put it in the at least minimum number of theaters for at least a day so that it can be eligible for those awards. Because for the first few years of Netflix making shit, they were automatically ineligible until they found that loophole, which I guess has still not been closed or addressed. So that's why they do that shit, at least.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. That loophole probably just needs to go away. I mean,
it definitely does.
But
if what the fuck is the point?
There's no point. But there's part of me that hopes it don't, because I do want movies to still get a theatrical release. And if that's the only way they do, then whatever. Like I do not want movies to go away from the theaters. But I was like, okay, I know that's just how Netflix rolls. And like, there's so many directors that get mad. Like, Netflix won't put my movies out. And I'm like, then don't sign a deal with Netflix. That's their thing. They're a streaming service, dude. Like, enjoy your $50 million and shut the fuck up. We all wish it was in theaters, but it ain't. Go to Amazon if you want that. They released it on October 17th. And I was like, okay, they're 1 day. And then they're going to put it on Netflix so we can enjoy it during spooky season, because while there is a difference between a horror movie and a Halloween specific movie, I mean, Frankenstein is, again, it's a horror. It doesn't have to be Halloween, but this is the spooky season, and I've been fired up for it. It's not coming to Netflix till fucking November 17th.
Yeah, that makes no sense to me. I mean, that has to have been some kind of running over schedule situation.
Sure.
Because I can't make it make any other sort of sense in my mind. Meaning, like, they fully planned for it to come out on October 17th or whatever, like not in theaters, on Netflix, and then what the post-production ran over by 1 month or something, and they just fucked themselves. Because I'm with you. I don't know why in God's name you would make that choice.
But if it's ready for theaters,
you'd think it'd be ready for Netflix. That's probably part I have no idea. I'm going
There has
back
to be spacing.
Yeah, I'm going back to my butt here, but because I have no idea, but I'm guessing that when you make a deal to put a thing in a movie or in a theater or however many theaters, even for one day or one weekend, it's probably part of some kind of deal you make that you can't have it on a streaming service like the next day or
it's a
less
cheat.
than a month later or something. Yeah.
Well, that has to be it because nothing else makes sense to me because, I mean, don't get me wrong, because I'm a huge Del Toro fan,
Yeah,
I
me
will
too.
see it. I will see it the very second it comes out. If it hadn't been for it being Oscar Isaac and Del Toro, I'm not saying I wouldn't, but I wouldn't be like waiting for it because by November 1st, 2nd, whatever. But dude, by November 17th, I am firmly in Christmas mode. Like as far as if I'm watching a specific type of entertainment, obviously I watch non-holiday stuff throughout the entire year, but like spooky movies has a season for me. If we're in the summer and Amber wants to watch one, I will, but like I hammer them from the beginning of October till the end, and then I go on to fucking White Christmas. I'm in, the Santa Claus, whatever. So to me, obviously we're huge Del Toro fans, but they're going to have to be losing some eyeballs because of people just being over spooky, right?
Yeah, maybe. I just remembered, and this is not exactly the same thing, but and I still haven't seen this because I heard it was like, real slow and shit, which is not what I want for that. But that Nosferatu remake, very similar situation, classic horror character remade by modern director. Now they're two very different guys, Edgar and Del Toro. Del Toro's a lot more fun, although Edgar's is,
whimsical,
wild and artsy and, also very talented. But that movie came out like in December. But now it's like it's not spooky season, but it's dark and it's winter time. It gets dark early.
People go to the movies.
It's
then
gray. But the main thing I think is that traditionally December releases are for prestige awards type movies. Summertime is for tentpole blockbusters, popcorn movies. December is for things you want to win Oscars and shit. Nosferatu, again, made by a master of injecting arts into farts, Mr. Eggers, right? Makes sense that they would, that his movie would be slotted around there. But Del Toro, who again I'm a huge fan of and is awesome, he's not that type of. I mean, other than outside of Shape of Water.
Sure, I mean, which he did win for,
right.
Del Toro to me. And by the way, for everybody that doesn't know, January is when they put out the poopy poop.
Yeah, it's when they don't
trust it. Do you ever think that's a self-fulfilling prophecy?
Maybe now. I mean, I think for a long, long time, people had no idea how any of that worked. But it's most people that fuck with movies now, they know that it's. No, they don't support things. They decide this isn't going to work, so they don't support it, and then so people don't even know it exists, and then it fails, and they're like, "See, I told you so."
And I'm talking about just putting it out in January because I was explaining this to Amber the other day. I was like, if they don't have faith in a movie or think it's going to do bad, they put it in January because nobody goes to the movies in January, and it's like, I bet if they put Iron Man out in January, people would go. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
Well, I remember every now and then there'll be something that breaks. So like very famously. Taken, the first Taken was a January release. The studio was like, I don't know. But that's a question again. If it's like Taken came out and they were like, look, this can't compete with Iron Man 1 or whatever was coming out at that time in the summertime. But all that other bullshit people put out in January, this is the top dog of that time. And then it exceeded their expectations and became a cultural phenomenon or whatever. So, I don't know. It's interesting stuff to me and to you at least. I don't know the members of this universe feel about it, but
I've always seen our job as not to always talk about things that are interesting to everybody, but to talk about things that are interesting to us in an interesting way, make the people interested in it. You know what I mean? Because there's plenty of people that talk about this stuff in a terribly mundane and horrible way that don't hit. The Rock being one of them in his Instagram posts.
What do you mean?
Dude, The Rock does this thing where it's sort of like when a comic just does back of the room jokes, right? The Rock will put out this Instagram post that is clearly to promote a movie, but will only in the post is just filled with Hollywood jargon that only someone in the industry would even understand remotely what the fuck he is talking about. And And I only know because of shit like this. Like he'll be like, "You guys are gonna love this new movie I'm in. It is a 4-quadrant film that hits all the verticals and like all this shit." And like I'm reading it, and even some of it, I had to learn about these words from that. And I'm like, dude, do you think fucking Bill and Sheboygan is like, The Rock said it's 4 quadrants? So I mean, that's what. And by the way, for me at least, that obviously you want your movie to be 4-quadrant because you'll make more money, but nothing turns me off of any type of project when I hear someone say this is for everyone. Like obviously Dead Lasso was that and I loved it, but like hearing that a movie is 4-quadrant makes me be like, okay, so I'll watch it on a plane. Cool. You know?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, well, you know, and they've definitely fallen off, but like Marvel like wants all of their movies to be 4-quadrant. You know, like Endgame, for example, was definitely like a 4-quadrant movie, right? And it's super rad.
But you didn't hear, unless you were looking at Kevin Feige in doing one of, if you're one of those nerds that watches the fucking like the Marvel days they do, kind of like when Apple releases new tech. If you're one of those nerds that watches that, maybe you care about that jargon and will hear that jargon. But like, if Robert Downey Jr. ain't talking like that when he's promoting the shit, you know what I mean? Like we check the demographic, and that's what Rock will do too. He's like, yeah, the 18 to 35 demographic was strong, and it's like, bro, just tell us tell if it's a good movie or not, you know, whatever.
Literally, why would he do that? That's wild to me.
I don't know, man. It's crazy. I mean, people pointed it out, like that he speaks like a robot. And he do.
Well, I would assume like that's definitely not him, right? Surely.
Can't be.
So why would he hire someone? You know, it feels like he hires a whole company for social media. They have an onboarding meeting. And at that, you'd think it would be like, that sort of
sound like a robot
would be determined. Right.
But you know what it is?
Or planned out like
when he's pitching the movie to humans, it sounds like he's making the pitch to studios to make the movie is what it reads like. You know, like you would go in and say like, this is based on trusted IP which already has garnered interest from these huge communities of faithful followers. Like that's what you would say to Netflix if you were pitching them your show, but then that's how he pitches it to humans. Back to Del Toro. Interesting that you brought that up because I think it's true. Del Toro is inarguably artsy in the way that he makes things his own way and they're big spectacles. But you're right, like
he's artsy in a nerd type of way.
Yeah, and I've never watched like Shape of Water Withstanding, which I love that movie. We've already done the podcast and people made fun of us. So like, you like the fish fucking movie? Yes, I do. I like it a lot. She was also a fish. But I've never really watched one of his movies and thought, oh, he's really chasing an Oscar here. You know, like he made nominated.
The fucking giant robots fighting kaiju monsters movie, you know, he made the Hellboy movies. That's what I'm saying. He's like, I don't know.
And Crimson,
he's artistic in the way that a great like comic book maker or writer is artistic. Do you know what I mean? Which is, like I said, he makes like,
and I think it's high art.
He injects some artistry into like nerd shit,
he's
fantasy
fun
shit, cool looking shit, the type of stuff that like people that jerk off over, you know, Parisian new wave cinema or whatever, like very much look down upon, but that a lot of people and 14-year-olds especially are like, that's fucking cool as fuck.
Right.
14-year-olds and me. So, yeah, you know.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I just love him so much because again, like he takes what he does seriously and he's not going after low hanging fruit, but like, he just seems like a fun guy who understands that like, this is supposed to be fun. Like, dude, Eggers is great. And there's been so many Oscar winners that were great, but a big thing amongst a tremendous amount of Best Picture Oscars is like, I watched him and go, that's a great movie, ... that I'll never watch again.
Yeah,
right. Whereas Del Toro's are endlessly rewatchable and fun to watch, you know?
Yeah. And at a certain point, it's like, what is a movie really supposed to be for, you know?
Yeah. Like
which of those things, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of like the argument. It's like, but then, I mean, something like I know what you mean. Like for me, The Lighthouse was like that, like Eggers movie. It's like, I did enjoy it. It's like, I really appreciate the artistry of this. I really don't have any interest in ever watching it again, I don't think. And then there's things like fucking Schindler's List and Requiem for a Dream or whatever, where you're like, this is brilliantly done. I refuse to ever watch this again because it's so hard to watch, but that's part of the point. And that's like,
you need those, like Zone of Interest. Like, I don't want to sit here and say those movies are unimportant because, like, dude, Zone of Interest is one of the most haunting movies I've ever seen. And like, the point of the movie is the banality of it, that it was like, because people go, nothing really happened. And I'm like, I hear you, but like that's the point is like, look at this normal family life amidst the chaos. Like, this is how it was. Like, yes, these people are inherently evil, but the true evils of this world aren't sitting behind a lair rubbing a crystal ball. They're just this guy with his family living next to Auschwitz. That movie's super important. I think it's great. But again, I don't want to fucking see it again. I'm not going to dog the people who made it, but yeah, Schindler's List, like, oh my God, bro. Like, and how could you, if you want to watch it again, you're kind of wild, unless it's like, I want to show my wife that she's never seen it. And I feel like this is because it is a cultural touchstone, like one of the biggest ones. But like, Scorsese though, the only movie of his that I don't want to rewatch is Killer of the Flower Moon.
Have you seen Silence? I bet you probably wouldn't want to rewatch that one either.
That's the one I've never seen. And the reason
it's definitely one of those movies for me. I watched it and I was like, this is a well-made movie. I did like this movie. I'm never going to watch this again. And
I feel bad because I want so badly to be a Scorsese completionist, but I keep not watching that movie for some reason.
Well, the Lord's involved.
Yeah, there's that. But Scorsese is like, I don't think anyone has ever made as many rewatchable fucking movies.
Well, I was going to say the GOATs, I think. Spielberg. For me, and a lot of them accomplish both. Like Tarantino's the Coen brothers.
They are.
Coen brothers, Tarantino, Scorsese. Most of the GOATs, do both. Like it's like high cinema, but also you do rewatch them because it just also kicks ass. So, that's the hitting the shit for me for sure.
What do you think is your most rewatch movie of all time?
I mean, the truth is, it's definitely something from when I was a kid because when I got older, I stopped rewatching things as much as I used to. And so the honest to God answer, well, it's almost got to be Jurassic Park. Because when I was a kid, I literally could, from memory by heart, start that movie at the beginning and recite every word of the entire script of that movie when I was like 10 years old, like, because I had just seen it so many times. So it has to be that. And if it isn't that, it's a comedy like Dumb and Dumber, or Liar Liar or Wayne's World or something like that as a kid I just watched over and over and over again. But probably it has to be Jurassic Park. I can't imagine anything else would beat out Jurassic Park for me.
Mine is either Tombstone or Blazing Saddles. And there was a time when we didn't have no cable or nothing, and I had those two DVDs. So if I watched one, I'd turn around and watch the other. And I would normally say, like, the comedy, which, dude, I think Tombstone's as funny as any goddamn movie. I mean, it's so
That's the thing about those movies and those filmmakers. That's
They're funny.
Part of it, too, is it's like, they're not comedies. Comedy's not the headline. That's not like why you watch them, but you watch them for the drama or intrigue or thrilling aspects or whatever. But they also are fucking hilarious. Yeah. And that's like the best shit, And
this is no shade to, because, some movies just aren't for me, but like Lady Bird was a comedy, right?
Oh, I don't actually never watch Lady Bird.
I think it was poised. It was like one of those, like, this is a comedy. Sometimes
that's the opposite end of that spectrum where it's like a ton of things today are listed as comedies. And it's like, this is like mildly amusing or heartwarming, or maybe it makes you smile a little bit or whatever, but it isn't like funny.
Right. And like, I think that like some Tarantino movies are funnier than half the shit that's been listed as comedy in the past 20 years. And like, 100%. Obviously he on purpose does things funny, but that's not, you don't think of it as like, I'm going to see this new comedy, Django Unchained,
Right,
but
exactly. Yeah.
And also,
but then they have the same with the Klan mask or whatever. Dude, and it's fucking laugh out loud hilarious.
It's unbelievable. But like, there's comedy shows, like comedy sitcoms that I like. I really like them. And I would still go, but Toe to Toe Sopranos is actually funnier. It's actually a funnier show because, and it's not like they write jokes. These dudes are just so ridiculous. So like anything Paulie Walnut says is just fucking banger funny.
I've actually been thinking about that lately. It's just, since we're, we only got 11 minutes left and it's full on inside baseball now. This is something I've been thinking about lately because I've been, Slow Horses is out right now. I've also been rewatching the old seasons, and it made me think basically what you just said, the idea of like character versus joke based comedy. And I realized, like, I've lamented for a while because I've written a ton of scripts and I always put a lot of jokes in them because I like jokes.
I do too. I got into this for that.
I've lamented for a while the fact that it's like I've gotten the distinct impression that in Hollywood today, somebody along the way decided like jokes are the lower form of that. And so like something that's like jokey, they'll like look down their noses at or whatever, which still does piss me off. And it's always like, more about like character-based comedy or whatever.
But that don't come out on the page unless the character actor is there doing it and is good.
That too, right. So
the only thing you can do is write it. In order for it to be character-based and funny, someone else has to bring it,
Right. So like, like Gary Oldman as Jackson Lamb and Slow Horses, like so many of the things he does, plenty of which would be funny also on the page, but so many of the things he does, lines he has and stuff, they're not jokes. They wouldn't just, if you've never seen the show, you're just reading the script, you wouldn't even necessarily read as that funny. But the way he's embodied that character and the way he delivers those lines and shit is just like, it just fucking kills you, just makes you crack you up. So like the context of a scenario and the characters and their dynamics together, and then they say a thing that on its face is not a joke or shouldn't even be funny, but it is. And it's like, I don't know, high-minded intellectual type people, they definitely seem to prefer that over punchlines, which again, I'm like, yeah, punchlines also hit though, man.
They do. In a show like Slow Horses, I like it that it's this way because
comedy's not the headline, right?
Comedy's not the headline, and also it makes you still believe you're in this world,
right?
Whereas
so that's why I think in a show
or a movie like that, people don't talk in punchlines.
So that's why I think in a show or a movie like that, like what we're talking about, where it's like you don't call it a comedy, you don't watch it for comedy, but it also crushes.
Yeah,
having character-based humor only makes perfect sense, and it does work better in that scenario. But I'm talking like comedy executives and shit seem to have that opinion. And if you're making a full-blown comedy, no, put some fucking jokes.
I agree.
Like 30 Rock.
You call it that.
30 Rock's one of the funniest goddamn shows ever. That show's nothing but fucking jokes and punchlines and shit. The characters are also hilarious.
Sure.
But there's a joke every fucking 15 seconds.
Right.
And it's awesome. And everybody loved it. So it's like, it's just, there's places for both. You know? God damn.
Tracy Morgan is undeniably the best person to deliver those lines and makes it funnier, but the words he says would be funny words coming out of anybody. And then but like, Tony Soprano, Gandolfini might be the GOAT of taking something that on the page, this might even seem sinister and turning it into that's so funny the way but like I said, on the page, you can't sell that to someone you can't just go, well, they'll say it funny because you're not there when they're reading the script. They just read it unless you're going to write in there. But the guy that we have, he will say it funny. Well, you don't fucking know that. You got to audition somebody. So you have this. You have Slow Horses not billed as a comedy, but is funny. And then you got the opposite. You got The Bear billed as a comedy. So they're kind of trying. I feel like they cheat the other way, where it's like, we don't want to be beholden to drama. We want to slip the drama in. And that way they go, wow, can you believe this comedy is so poignant and dramatic? For the record, I love The Bear. But don't you feel like that's the opposite of Slow Horses?
Comedy.
Right.
Yeah, no, it is. And again, it's been, but I don't know. Sometimes I think it's as simple as The Bear is a half hour.
And categories for.
And that just makes it a comedy. And they never even intended it to actually be a comedy or whatever the fuck. I don't know, but yeah, The Bear's the example everybody uses, but because it's very accurate. Again, it's an awesome, I love the fucking awesome show,
amazing,
but it's not a fucking comedy.
The first couple episodes of the first season,
best comedy or whatever, it's
that's the unfair part.
Exactly,
that's the unfair part. Where, and again, I'm not mad at anybody.
Something like English Teacher or whatever is never going to beat a show like The Bear, and they're actually on the same network. Now that I think about it, but like. They shouldn't be going against each other. They're not like attempting to do the same thing. English Teacher is like a full-on comedy or whatever.
Right.
And I don't even know if that show's still on, but I just know it's a comedy that is funny and hits for me.
Right. If we're just judging based on what is the best show, I'm fine if you say The Bear is better than Always Sunny in Philadelphia. But if we're in the category of comedy, you can get the fuck out of here. That
Right.
because if you're doing comedy, we have to base it on which one is funnier.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone with a brain and eyeballs will tell you, well, Always Sunny is because they're being funny, like, I don't know, but whatever. We're never going to get a show. But it's fine. But like I said, I love that show, love those. But yeah, you're right. This all goes back to what you were saying about the release date. Realistically, all of this is just cheating for award season. It's just, let us fit, because you're right, it's 30 minutes, so that must be a comedy. But then now I think this show does the perfect mix. Have you watched The Chair Company yet?
No, I have not.
I know that you're not a fan of you like Tim Robinson. I'm not going to put you in that, but that's not your style. He's not for everybody. I get it.
He seems to be for pretty much everybody. That's like, I mean, it's almost like being a cat person or something. Like, I don't even want to talk about it in public oftentimes because like he is. And again, I like and respect. I have literally the exact same way I talk about dogs. I love and respect Tim Robinson. I get it. Whatever. It just isn't. I just prefer other things generally.
Sure.
And I'm basing that entirely off of I Think You Should Leave, which again, people love. I just can't. It just don't click with me. I don't know. And like you said, I've always been an anti-bug fuck part. But I know I have friends that are like also not super into bug fuck shit, as I always call it, like Tim and Eric or Eric Andre and that type of thing. But who are like, nah, but this show is different. It fucking does it. And I've given it multiple chances, and I'm like, I don't know. I feel the same way about this as I felt about those things. No disrespect. Glad it exists. Just don't do it for me. So yeah, and I just assumed The Chair Company was another. Is it not bug fuck? It's like,
so here's the thing. It has where you lose on I Think You Should Leave is that it goes everywhere and it's zany and it's, there's not it's to me, the funniness of this show is that the entire premise should just be one sketch, but he's decided to make this into a show, and it's very conspiracy based. It's very dramatized, but he's being really funny the whole time, and it's the absurdity is played up. So to me, it's funny because there's this guy he's as serious as a human being can be in this very ridiculous situation. So the premise is he's the very first episode, he's given this presentation. He's very nervous in front of his company, and he goes to sit down and the chair breaks and everyone laughs at him. And so he calls to complain about the chair because he can't let this go. And he finds out that number doesn't even go anywhere. And so he's trying to choke his way up to the CEO to hold him accountable for the fact that he fell and embarrassed himself in front of this group of people. And it gets really bug fucking and crazy. But to me, part of the humor is like, this shouldn't last for more than 5 minutes, but here it goes. And I think, though, because it stays on subject the whole time, I think you would enjoy it because it doesn't ever zig and zag. It's going towards that one central thing. It just gets heightened with ridiculousness. So they didn't pay me to say that, but I love Tim Robinson. I love that show. And again, it's 30 minutes. There's not a lot of great 30-minute shows anymore. And it is one of them. And God, as a dad, when there's a great 30-minute show that, like, at the end of the day, when me and Amber are trying to unwind and we can watch 4 of something, oh God, I love it so much. Where you been for Halloween?
I don't have any kind of plan right now, which means I'm probably not going to do anything. I mean, not do anything. I will be walking around trick or treating still, I think, but I don't think I'm going to have any kind of outfit on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you look good. Regardless, you could go as Oliver Platt. Just put on a suit.
Yeah. Thanks. Katie always, generally, when I've had costumes, she does that.
Yeah.
Or has the idea. She's been so preoccupied with house decorating this year that she's kind of either forgotten about or completely neglected the costume part. So I just don't have a plan, but I don't care. Like, it don't bother me at all to not wear one. So, it's whatever.
This will hit for you. So my wife also is like, if it was up to me, I just wouldn't be anything because I'm an adult. I'm not going to a party. But now that I have a kid and we've got Laura James, they want to do a theme, and my niece has just recently gotten super into Tinkerbell. So she wants to be Tinkerbell. And my wife's like, oh, that's great. Bane can be Peter Pan. And so naturally, I was like, right on. They've been planning this for like a week, and I just found out about it. And I was like, sweet, I can be Captain Hook. And they both looked at me and they're like, yeah, you're going to be Shmee. Like, we've already picked out this stuff. So I didn't get to contribute any to this. Instead of being the cool one, I have to be dumpy Shmee.
That's how that always goes. I remember I made a video once about that, about how like guys generally in relationships have no agency over their Halloween costumes, and it's hilarious how much they get fucked over.
Yeah.
But anyway, that'll do it for this week. Drew might be back next week. I can't remember what he told us. We'll see. We may never see him again. Who knows? But either way, living his Drewiest life out there. Thank y'all for listening. Come see me on the road. I'm about to be back on it starting next week. I'll be in Milwaukee and Madison, Wisconsin. Then after that, not necessarily in this order, but it's Oklahoma City, Dallas, Fort Wayne, Indiana. At the end of the year, Zany's in Nashville, home for the holidays, like every year, with Cho and Drew with me, the WellRED shows. And then after that, in 2026, a bunch of stuff: Sacramento, Spartanburg, Wilmington, Chicago, ton of places coming up already on the website, TreyCrowder.com. Check them out. Get a ticket. Come see me, please.
Hell yeah. Come see us in Nashville, baby. Also, hey, you can go join my Substack. It's CoreyWritesForYou.com. I just put up a couple pieces this week, and I'm working on another one that should be going out tomorrow as you're listening to this. It's about Walmart and dimensions and portals. Read about it. Also, my old podcast, Through the Screen Door, is back. As you're listening to this, it'll come out next Tuesday. So get excited about that. A lot of you are probably already on the RSS feed, but if not, just go to Apple or Spotify or wherever, subscribe to Through the Screen Door. It's a reboot of the old show, so a little bit different, still there. All right. Thank you all for listening to the WellRED Show. We'd love to stick around longer, but we got to go. Tune in next week if you got nothing to do. Thank you. God bless you. Good night and skew.
Fart.
Art.
We're still fancy, putting on airs. We might not know much about history, we don't care. We gon' get drunk and we talk about yachts. We gon' get drunk and we gon' talk a lot. Dress real fancy, sit in our chairs, sip on our tea, putting on airs. We collected from our love of Downton Abbey. We collected, we found out we're both so fancy. Hey, what's the difference between rednecks and royal families? Only money, cause they both have sex with family. Ew. Putting on airs. What other rednecks to talk about foreign affairs? Laughing so hard that we end up falling out our chairs. Sir Trey, Sir Corey, oh what a pair. High class topics with a redneck flair. Oh yeah. Two rednecks but we're still fancy, putting on airs. We might not know much about history, we don't care. We gon' get drunk and we talk about yachts. We gon' get drunk and we gon' talk a lot. Dress real fancy, sit in our chairs, sip on our tea, putting on airs. Two rednecks but we're still fancy, putting on airs. We might not know much about history, we don't care. We gon' get drunk and we talk about yachts. We gon' get drunk and we gon' talk a lot. Dress real fancy, sit in our chairs, sip on our tea, putting on airs. Okay, it's Team Squirrel or Team Trey. Oh yeah, we keeping it basic. He thinks that the squirrels at Corey's mom's house are racist. And you know squirrels live in the same place for generations. So Trey, you better count your days and you better count your blessings. Cause all the squirrels that you ran over, that you think are nameless, faceless, their families are getting together and plotting on you from the attic and basement. So even though Corey is dumb, fat, and bald, he knows how to avoid drama, don't get squirrels involved. Two rednecks but we're still fancy, putting on airs. We might not know much about history, we don't care. We gon' get drunk and we talk about yachts. We gon' get drunk and we gon' talk a lot. Dress real fancy, sit in our chairs, sip on our tea, putting on airs. Two rednecks but we're still fancy, putting on airs. We might not know much about history, we don't care. We gon' get drunk and we talk about yachts. We gon' get drunk and we gon' talk a lot. Dress real fancy, sit in our chairs, sip on our tea.